Jason, where did you get your start in composition?
In composition, it started because I had a mean mom who made me practice piano.
Jason, we are so excited to have you on with us today and to talk a little bit about some of the songs that you have in Piano Marvel. And we're going to show some people how to get them and how to get a printed copy and what they are. So I'd like to show you guys really quickly what we have in Piano Marvel. It's super exciting. And then we'll talk to Jason a little bit and find out how he got started in composition and what he likes to do. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so if you guys want to play Jason's songs, just go in, type in his name, Tonioli, and click on just any one of these things. These are really marvelous. If you click on the collection, you'll see a little print button. One of the things I'd recommend if you want to have this music so you can play it in church or in a Christmas party, just click on the print button, and then you will click here and it will take you straight to his website. And this book, Jason has generously allowed you to put in a code. So let me share with you what that code is. If you want to buy that, you just click add to the cart. And then when you go to your cart, click on checkout. There it is, have a coupon code. So if you click on this, this is the code. If you type in capital MARVEL, and the number 5, and then click apply, that will take off how much?
$5. One other really cool thing that you can do. So we do, if you're like, hey, I don't want a printed book, we have it in PDF format where you can get the whole book with all the songs. And then if you're just wanting an individual song, you can. I set it up just for this month. It expires at the end of December, but you can actually add any of the individual songs, and most of them are between $2.99 and $3.99. So you could add one or two individuals if that's what you'd want to do, and it would make it completely free for you as well.
Great. So I just click on like Angels We've Heard on
Mm-hmm.
High. I really like that one, and then it'll tell me it's $2.99. Just click add to your cart.
Yep.
Okay,
so
thanks, Jason.
If money's tight for you, I'd still love to be able to help and share with you.
Yeah, that is awesome. I played through every one of these easy Christmas piano songs, and they are really, really cool. He's got a number of them in here, and you can see there's Angels We Have Heard on High. I want to just give you guys a sample of this first one, see what you guys think. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this first one.
1, 2, set, go.
This is a fun arrangement. So the melody is really strong, but it still has some creative things in here. I like that walking bass line there. When I played through this one, it took me several times, but finally I got a golden ticket. And when you do that this month, before the end of the month, you can get a golden ticket. And every song you get a golden ticket for, we're helping to support kids in Haiti and Mexico. And so get in there and just sight read through a ton of Jason's songs, and every song you perfect goes for a good cause. Let's go back and talk to Jason a little bit. Jason, where did you get your start in composition?
In composition, it started because I had a mean mom who made me practice piano. So I think any of us who play piano probably had somebody sitting on the piano bench with us, whether it was a teacher, mom, or parent, whatever. But that was really where I got my start. It was more in doing lessons, and Part of it was I liked playing by ear a little bit, but I never really was taught how. And so I'd change things up at the piano, and then I'd get in trouble when I'm practicing, and I'd really get in trouble as I was at piano lessons when I didn't play what was written, and the teacher would tell me I needed to play what was written. And as I got older, I'd argue sometimes that, well, I think Beethoven would have liked it better this way if he was here sitting by me. And then I got threatened that, if you change dead composers' music, they'll come back and haunt you. So I think I thought about it a little bit more before I changed it up. But it really just came because I wanted to play piano the way that I liked playing it, and wanted to find that joy in doing it. And so if it meant changing some songs up, and then that was kind of what spurred me on to start writing music the way I wanted it to be played.
So how old were you when you started playing piano?
I was in kindergarten, and so just remember starting out with the big notes with mom at home, and then I think somewhere around first or second grade, I graduated to a teacher, and from there it was lessons every week and practicing way more than you wanted to. I used to have to practice an hour a day. I don't know that I always did that very well, but I definitely did have to practice before I could go out and hang out with friends.
I was 10 when I started playing piano, and my brother was actually the one who was the pianist, and then he actually passed away in a motorcycle accident. And so I took over the piano role at that point, and my mom didn't make me practice. But I also didn't get a good reading background, like how to read music. I ended up doing a lot of it just by memorizing. But when I was probably 17, I started to take lessons from a teacher at the university, and he said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you to enter a composition competition. You want to write a song?" So that was my very first time. I started just writing a song and then put it into competition, and I won first place at the state of Colorado. And I thought, wow, maybe this stuff is really fun. So that's where I started. My problem is I started writing things that were really, really hard that nobody could play. So it got into this world of, like, I tried to get published and I couldn't get published. And I imagine you may have gone down this publishing route. So I'm curious, how old were you when you did your first composition, and did you try to get published?
So first one I think was as a seventh grader. They had a school reflections contest for the junior high and I guess the area. And they were saying that they had $50 prizes for the winners. And so I still remember scribbling it out on paper and then having to fill it in to make it look even better after we'd finished it. But, that was the first one. And then I won. I think I won $50. And the next year I submitted again. And I think I maybe won $75 because it went on to region. They were okay songs. They weren't amazing. But as I got into high school, my parents finally let me quit. I was so busy with so many activities at the end of my sophomore year, and I wasn't practicing and didn't want to be playing. I finally quit end of sophomore year, and then I didn't touch piano for like 6 months. And it was kind of out of spite to show my mom, oh, see, I really didn't want to play. And then all of a sudden I started playing stuff off the radio, and I'm playing Green Day songs and these heavy metal punk, surfing band, guys, Metallica, things like that. And then as I got coming to my senior year, I'm like, I think I really like to play, take lessons again. And so I did. And that year I played Rachmaninoff in G minor and all these crazy songs. And I actually wrote a song. I did a 2-piano duet that was, if you took Star Wars and mashed it up with the Revolutionary Etude by Chopin, I did this 2-piano duet for the other kid that was my age in piano lessons, and we did that for our senior final recital. It was really fun. But I tried to get that published, and there was a group out of Colorado called Voice of the Rockies that actually published that 2-piano duet for me. And I still have a $4.95 check on my wall that I never cashed. That was my big payday.
That was awesome.
It was amazing. I think my mom bought like 3 copies, and that was probably the check I got a portion of her money back in that check that never got cashed. But that was really how it started. And I've saved that check. And I think one of the important things with music is the way I've approached it. I haven't really ever focused on, hey, I'm going to make money and be a millionaire or whatever with music. I mean, that's just not a realistic goal for most people unless your name's Taylor Swift, Beyonce, things like that. And so I really just approached it as I just want to share and, help other people enjoy music. And if I can make a few bucks along the way, that's really cool too. But all the way along the line, I haven't really ever cared whether people liked my stuff. It was more because I liked it. And I think one of the other interesting things, you talked about doing really hard music. And I see that happen a lot of times with kind of people who are wanting, composers who are wanting to kind of get their stuff out there. And it's great that you can play it, and it's fun to play those hard songs. But the reality is people don't want to practice their guts out to be able to sound good. And so the more you can make a song playable, the better. And really, with all of the hymn arrangements and other songs I've done over the years, the hymns that I did started because I would want to play a musical number in church or, share something. And I didn't want to have to practice. I wanted to be able to be 5-10 minutes before I got asked to do it and be able to be like, sure, I'll play something and go up and do it. And so that's really what it started. And so it needed to sound harder than it actually was to play. And that's kind of been my, as I get feedback from teachers and other people, is they'll tell me, man, this music sounds so much harder. But when I sat down and played it, it was like, wow, that was really easy. It just kind of flowed and was easy to read.
Yeah, I will say when I played through your songs, they were pretty easy. Like, I enjoyed the sitting down and just being able to read through them. It was fun. And I do think that's an art that's hard to get right, is making something that sounds really good, right, but is easy to play, easy to learn.
Absolutely. So I did 14 or so intermediate, I'll call it, early advanced books. And those have sold, I've sold a ton of those books all over the world. It's been fun to see that happen. But I'd been asked over and over again by piano teachers, can you please do something in that easier zone? And what was repeated over and over again is they said, we have students that want to play John Schmidt and they use your music, but we have all these students that want to be able to play just a hymn out of the hymn book. And there's like this gap where there's playing a hymn out of a hymn book, and then there's like this big note, sounds terrible hymn that nobody wants to play. And there's a missing piece there. And I can't tell you how many dozens of teachers and people would email me saying, hey, can you do an easier version of this? And I'd be like, no, I just wanted to, it wasn't like on my radar. And finally what happened is my 10-year-old son was practicing in on the piano, and he was playing, it was a green kind of, early, like the easier hymn book that's out there. And he was playing out of it. And I was like getting a drink or washing dishes. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but it sounded awful. And there was like bad notes. And like the first one, you get that like little ear twitch, like, that's not right. But it was just over and over again. And finally I'm like, Ryan, it needs to be this note. And I just walked over there and he's like, no, Dad, I'm playing it right. And he was actually playing those notes, and they just weren't good. Yeah. It wasn't him. And it just, I had this like hit me in a brick in the head almost moment where, oh my gosh, I get why people are so frustrated with this, and why they don't want to play the hymns, because they're terrible in this book. And as I started researching more and more, there's just wasn't a lot of good, early, easy arrangements out there for that kid that was 10 years old that wanted to play out of a hymn book and do like the easiest song. And he probably could have struggled through it, but and I thought, well, can I do something that would sound good? And I started just messing around with things. And I think, like you said, the hard part is you've got in that easy zone, it sounds empty. So if you were just playing a lot of songs when you're, just learning, I don't know, they just sound like there's something missing, if that makes sense. And I think when you get to that point, you realize like, it's okay. But, and so I tried really hard to make it feel like it was full enough that you could sit down at play a musical number in church and nobody'd know that it wasn't like really, really hard, or it just, And I had a moment just a couple months ago. I just did this Easier Hymns book number 2, and it was about 2 months ago. And as my final test, I got asked like last minute to play in church because I don't know, the speaker hadn't come or something. And they're like, "Hey, can you do something?" I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll play." And I had this. It was the first song in my Easier Songbook too. It's called "Telling Me the Stories of Jesus." It's in a whole bunch of hymn books. It's Baptist, hymnal, Methodist. I mean, it's a whole bunch of them. Really well known song, and primary songs I know for some of the churches for kids. But I got up and I played it exactly like it was in the book. So I didn't like embellish it. I didn't like add more stuff to it. And I just thought, because people are used to me playing a little bit more harder type of thing. And I got finished and it went fine. And I sat down, and at the end of the meeting, I had probably 3 to 4, I had like 10 people come up to me. And people come up and say, "Oh, you did great." And there's like the 2 or 3 people, like people were coming out of their way to tell me how that was their favorite song they'd ever heard me play. And I've played a lot. Wow. And I didn't tell anybody, "Hey, well, that was like the really easy version."
Yeah.
And so I felt like, okay, I hit the bullseye, hopefully, with that.
Yeah.
And, time will tell whether people really enjoy, playing those songs. But, I think as you talked about doing harder songs, I think I know you've evolved where you've realized, okay, if people can't play this and enjoy it, they're not going to. So you may as well, just back it in and make it fun to play for everybody. And then if you want to jazz it up when you play it, go for it. Right.
Right. So one thing you did mention is you got in this, you weren't thinking, "I'm going to get rich with this." You wanted to more just share your music with the world. One thing that Jason did mention is that he is allowing anybody in the world to play his songs in Piano Marvel for free, which is incredibly generous. So I would like to show you guys one thing that we'd like to do for Jason. If you would go in and just play as many of his songs, if you just type in his name here and then just go through some of these hymn arrangements that he was talking about, these easier piano hymns, they're all in there. We're going to track the number of practice minutes and how many people are playing his music so he can see how many people are playing his songs by the end of December. So we'd like to encourage you guys to get in there and play some of Jason's music. It's marvelous. It really is.
I think what would be even cooler to see, Aaron, is how many people get the golden ticket like you were talking about. It'd be really neat to see how many people we were able to help this season. So even cooler. The minutes is going to be cool, but I'd love to see how many people we help.
Thank you for joining us today. This has been really fun to meet you and to hear where you came from. We'll look forward to letting you know how many people played your music, how many golden tickets were earned, and how many minutes were played with your songs. We appreciate your generosity, and thank you for being here.
It's going to be fun to see, and we may have to get some more of the books in there. It looks like we've only got 3 or 4 of the books, so maybe there'll be more coming in the future.
I think you will find quite a few requests.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Yep. Thank you.